We the people unite.
Hi, everybody. Hi, how you doing?
A tonight. We're still looking for the third one of us A's to show up. But until she comes, we're going to say hello, hello. And we wanted to start you off with a quick clip and see if you're ready to do what we do. Hey, hey, let's wake up and get our Tuesday started. Huh. Oh, it's the double A. Hey, hey.
And they live it up in New York.
Hey, hey. It's the Double A Show coming to you live. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Hey, hey, hey.
They showing you how to do it.
Hey. Hold up. Go ahead, Andrea. Take what your mama gave you. Hey. Hey.
Y'all ask me to stop. That's a beautiful dress.
Isn't it? Wear that dress, girl. Hey, hey. Hey, hey. All right, that was coming to you live from the Triple A's. Hey, welcome to the show, everybody. Hey, Andrea, how are you?
How you doing today, August? It's good to see you.
Oh, thank you very much. And let's say hello to our roving reporters. Let's see who's out there. We got Katie saying hello. Hey,
Hi,
Miss Katie.
Hi,
We have
Barbara.
Angry Army Vet saying hello.
Is she there? I don't see her.
Yes, I see Miss Angry Army Vet. She's probably on her cell. And then we have Barbara with us. Hey, welcome, Barb. Good to have you. And we just wanted to liven up the show a little bit and let you shake what your mama gave you. We got a special shout out to Katie. It's her birthday. So we all going to just celebrate.
Katie.
Happy birthday, Miss Katie. Happy birthday. We hope you enjoy your day. So, Miss Andrea, what do you have for us today? Should I give them your funny?
Yeah, that was funny to me. You know, Donald Trump turns 80 in June, which will be a historic moment. He will be the first president whose age exceeds his IQ.
Well, all right now. And why not? And why not? But what's happening out there in the big, beautiful bill? What's going on?
She the big 3-4. She 34 years old. You could be my grandbaby.
I love it. Sending all of you. Thank you, Miss Angry Army Vet. It's so good to have you. Hopefully, Miss Jazzy would jump in here and we will be able to see her. So, Andrea, talk to us about what's going on there. I'm bringing to the stage Mr. D.L. Hughley. But before we get him started, set it up for us.
You know, DL is always keeping it real. That's what I like about him. He keeps it real, and the information is always right on. And I always learn when I listen to him. And I like his co-host too, his lady that helps him run the show. I don't know why I always forget her name, but I don't know why I forget everybody's name. But DL today I want August to play it, and then we'll talk about it, because I have a lot I want to read.
If you're an elected official and you still support the Oath Keepers, you by definition broken yours. Todd Blanche, who's I guess the acting attorney general, went to the court and asked them to vacate the sentences of the Proud Boys, right? Yesterday, that same Department of Justice, headed by Todd Blanche and, of course, Kash Patel, they have indicted the Southern Poverty Law Center. And if you don't know what that is, they're an organization that basically tracks racist organizations, like violent racist organizations. Like they sued the Klan. They have infiltrated racist plots to murder and to kidnap. Now, you just freed racist. Now, the very thing that you use to keep them in check, you are trying to inhibit. I don't think that's an accident. And what they're saying is, they use money to pay informants or to have people go undercover. You mean like every fucking police department doing any sting operation in any country? So the very tool of law enforcement, they are saying it's fraudulent when they put it. Is send a clear signal that we got you.
I remember very vividly Trump ran on this whole idea of we need to get rid of criminals and we're going to, bring justice. And what's interesting about the request from the DOJ about the January 6ers, of those that he pardoned, 33 of them have gone back to jail.
33 have already gone back.
If you're an
to
elected
jail.
official and you still
33 of them. Now that's crazy. That's crazy.
These were criminals to begin with. Donald Trump has to this day not accepted responsibility for the January 6th insurrection. He's been against this country since the very beginning. I don't even know. Every day I ask myself, why did people vote for him? But what I really wanted to talk about was, what did the Southern Poverty Law Center do? And this is an overview. And the one thing, the Southern Poverty Law Center, and they refer to it as the SPLC, and I'll probably get to that one next, August, but you can leave it up, is a prominent civil rights organization known for utilizing litigation to dismantle white supremacist groups, combat institutional racism, and protect marginalized communities. This was founded in 1971. It gained notoriety for using civil lawsuits to bankrupt hate groups like the Ku Klux Klan and for tracking extremist activities through its intelligence. Key activities and historic actions include legal action against hate groups. The SPLC has won multi-million-dollar jury verdicts against violent white supremacist organizations, such as the United Klans of America, by holding them legally responsible for their followers' actions. Civil rights litigations. They have launched legal challenges to dismantle remnants of Jim Crow, in which they're trying to reignite. So we need to learn it. And this stuff you can easily Google if you don't have an encyclopedia to get this information. They dismantled remnants of Jim Crow segregation, reform juvenile justice practices, and protect the rights of immigrants. See, we used to want to protect the rights of immigrants. LGBTQ individuals, prisoners, and the disabled. Donald Trump said disabled people, in order to get any money, if they were under the age of 59, they would still have to work 80 hours a month. And I don't understand if, I know some people are able to work, but everybody that is disabled is not able to work. The other thing the SPLC did was monitoring extremism. Through its intelligence project, formerly Klans Watch, the SPLC tracked hate groups and extremist organizations across the U.S. and provides this information to law enforcement. Well, now what's happening is a lot of times your white supremacists and your Ku Klux Klan members are already a part of your groups. They're supposed to protect the country. And they are also educational initiatives. The organization launched Learning for Justice, formerly Teaching Tolerance, which provide educators with free anti-bias and educational resources. I was talking to my second mom, is how I refer to her, and she was a principal of schools and a superintendent, and she said she used to ask the policemen to come by her school, and at this time they weren't even doing having the school shootings like they have been presently, and they would come, and she said she would buy them donuts and have coffee there every morning for them, and they would walk around and make sure the kids were doing what they were supposed to do. And I said, now it's a whole nother ball game. We actually in Texas, they're supposed to have 2 police officers that are assigned to a school every day. So we didn't have to have police presence like that. It baffles my mind. That's why this subject is interesting to me also. Controversy and legal challenges. The SPLC has faced criticism regarding its inclusion of certain individual groups on its hate map. And in recent years, legal challenges and accusations regarding the use of paid informants and fundraising practices. The police can pay informants, but we can't pay informants to make our life better. Sometimes you, huh?
Help us understand the Southern Poverty Law Center hosting. They're traveling, has exhibitions on Emmett Till. What's going on with that?
Well, that and is people don't realize that Emmett Till, just because he paid a white lady a compliment, they killed him. They drug him. They chased them down until they found him. And I don't know if anyone went to the movies when it did come out, because it was very educational. And the mother, his mother wanted his mother wanted his casket and him in it to be on display. And some people said he was beat up so bad, they was like, why would you want to display your son like this? We need to, cover this up. And she was like, no, we're not gonna hide this. We're gonna show you what really happens to Black people. Even when Kunta Kinte, when they beat him so bad and you saw all the webs on his back, they wanted you to see how they treat people. And I have no intentions of going back to where we were beat so bad. This is a very upsetting subject, and that's why it's important that we remember our history. We remember the history so that we won't go back. So that if you knew how much your ancestors have done to get voting rights, for us to be able to vote and to get all of these people that hate us out of Congress, out of the presidency, out of the mayor office, out of the police station. And here we're going back to something that we don't even want to do. That's why I'm trying to, get out as much information as possible. And like I said, I don't know that I could have had my son's casket exploited and moved around the country for everybody to see. My youngest son was shot, and we still to this day don't know who did it. And his daughter she's fears today of if something's going to happen to her mother. So we need to know what happened to people and why it happened. We need to protect one another. It's not okay for me not to know who did it, and it's not okay for that person to do it. I just feel like God know all about it. He know all about it. He know all about Emmett Till. And one day we're gonna all stand in hands together. And that's going back to my Martin Luther King, that one day we're gonna all join hands You know, whether we red, yellow, black, or white, no matter if your hair is straight or if it's kinky like mine, we're gonna still love one another. It's not what we look like that's important. It's our hearts. It's the way we think that's important. So, you know, don't forget these school shootings have I can't even believe how many nightclubs getting shot up, schools getting shot up. You know, you don't know if it's safe to go outside. I still go and I trust, but I still go outside. Hi, Jazzy. So, you know, that's what she wanted her son to lie, just like the president, when officials die in Lion State, she want her son to go around in Lion State as well.
Absolutely. I'm just reading some of the comments that we're having out there. You know, we always have our reporters on the ground, and they're saying, so let's see what Jazzy is saying, and teach white people about it who don't know it and don't recognize their little understanding of it growing up as intentional. Yep, you're right, Jazzy. Absolutely.
And I didn't know how many white people don't know their history, and because the stories have been kept from them, because they say they don't want to they don't want to horrify their kids or make them feel bad or feel like their family was bad for doing what they did. You know, I mean, you got to tell what happened. You know, let's read what Barbara had to say too. um
Yeah, let's go ahead. Barbara, we're back at you. Go ahead.
And that's right, Andrea. So many white people don't even know Emmett Till story or the countless others horror stories, and they need to be told, you
That
know.
is so true, Barbara. And we're so glad you're with us. Please
Mhm.
make sure you like and subscribe so we can continue to stay on and keep you informed because we do have the hot button topics that we want to definitely talk about. What are you letting us know, Angry Army Vet? You usually have great comments. I wish everyone would listen to you, Miss Andrea. See, everyone's agreeing with you.
And I do too, because my goal, like I said, is not for us to keep hurting each other. You know, right now gas is so high, and out, you know, when we were in New York last week, and August was nice enough to host her and her and Keisha, they were so kind to us, and the food is expensive. But then when I came home and went in the grocery store, I said, oh my goodness, shoot, the restaurant was cheaper than the grocery store.
Wow. Now that says something.
You know, I don't know how they think people are going to survive.
They
Yes,
don't
they
care.
keep a secret on purpose to keep us divided. Yeah. And I really, until I started studying more, I always wondered why Asians were always in black communities and selling black products. I said, why won't black product people sell black products? Why the Asians? But that was for division also. They did that so
Absolutely.
that they could divide us. And as long as we know that we keep being set up and don't realize we being set up, if you don't know your history, you're destined to repeat it.
Absolutely. So, with that said, we're going to transition real quickly over to everyone's been talking about this White House Correspondents. Come on, you guys. We want to hear from you what you think. You know, most of these guys are indicating, oh, it was a fake, it was a setup. And most of the media, they're upset because people feel that way. You can't keep pissing on us and telling us it's rain. We're not
When
stupid. We
I
know
was
what the hell is going on.
I was watching Don a few minutes ago, and they were trying to say, do you know how many people would have to be involved in a setup? No, it don't take that many people to be involved in a setup. It could be two
Two
people
people.
involved. It could be
Two
two
people.
people.
The
Donald
person that's
Trump.
doing it
Uh-huh.
and the person who they want to do it for. And they
That's
could have a great payday. So let's cut the crap. Okay. And so what? You keep goddamn telling us, oh, it's not raining. It's just rain. No, you guys keep pissing on us, and we're tired of it. We're
right.
really tired of it. So let's
Are you
hear.
playing this video or is it?
Yes, I am.
All right, let's go ahead and talk about this White House Correspondents Dinner. Last night, I was actually playing Xbox with
Yes,
my
I
youngest
am.
son. He's 8, and I got him the new WWE 2K26 for his birthday. And we were playing that together and unlocking some characters, having a good night. A friend of mine reached out and was like, hey, something just went down at the White House Correspondents Dinner. So I paused it long enough to see if Donald Trump was still alive. And the minute that I realized he was, I figured I would just go back to playing WWE versus watching WWE on the news. Folks, I truly just don't give a shit, and I can't pretend like I do. Do I have evidence that last night was a staged event? No, I do not. I'm not going to sit here and spread conspiracy theories. I'm not going to say to you, oh, look at this freeze frame. Watch this guy tug his ear. Watch this guy adjust his hat right before this happens, or watch Trump's face, or none of that. I'm not going to, because I'm not a conspiracy theorist, and no, I don't have evidence to back it up that it was a staged event. But this morning, the number one trending word on social media was staged. And pretty much everybody feels that way. No one can take this seriously, and everyone's calling bullshit. And I think that is the biggest lesson from all of it. It's just the fact that we have a president who we do not trust at all. And we just don't take events like this that by all means should absolutely be serious. In any other world, in any other place and time, this would be massive news where we would all stop. I would have immediately said, listen, son, I'm sorry, but I've got to talk about this. This is very serious. But it's Donald Trump. And how can you take Donald Trump seriously when he automatically uses this moment to then go to bat for a ballroom? That's what he said. That was his comeback for all this. Well, this is just proof we need a ballroom. And then his little MAGA bootlickers, they all run to social media to go, yeah, man, Trump needs a ballroom. But when it's our children in school, they don't say a damn word about keeping them safe.
No.
They don't say anything. But when it's Trump, it's like, oh, yeah, we have to keep him safe. We have to protect him. And now he's going to reschedule the event, said it might be 30 days from now. Originally, this event was going to be him getting up and roasting the journalist who, by the way, he calls the enemy from within. By the way, he says should be locked up and arrested, and he has locked up people like Don Lemon. So, it's just more of his bullshit, and it's a way for him to come back and make it all about him later. And if this was his attempt to bring up his poll numbers or get people to support him again, it's just going to fail miserably because, folks, at the end of the day, I'm not seeing very many people that care. And really, I don't even think MAGA cares. I truly don't even think they care either. I think they just parrot whatever he says and go on with their day. But yeah, that's pretty much my take. I wasn't going to pause playing a WWE game with my son to watch WWE on the news. I had better.
Okay. Let's hear from you guys. What do you think, Andrea?
Well, I even wrote on Don's show today. I said, I think it was staged. I really do. I mean, he really didn't even make it inside the room everyone was in. And the funny thing about it, too, was they said that they grabbed Vance before they grabbed Donald Trump. And that was funny to me, too. And then when Wolf Blitzer said, he didn't even realize what had really happened. And once he did, he got up and talked about it the rest of the night. But the people that were in that room, they said they didn't know for an hour what had really happened. They didn't know whether to sit down and eat or stay down under the table because they wasn't for sure. I wasn't for sure. I watched it and wasn't for sure what happened.
Yeah, I think Katie and them said it best. But let's see what are some of the other takes out there in regards to this event, because there's been a lot being said, and we just want to call it out. I know on Don they really showed some of the happenings there with them, but let's see what everybody else have to say about that. What do you think?
I think that I would like to hear other people's views also, because I know some people say that Kash Patel just was sitting there doing nothing.
Yeah, let's play Kash Patel. Why not? Let's take a look at his video and see what happened with him. Let's bring that one to the stage. See, there's someone right there. So you got some people sitting down, not knowing what to do. You got people eating. Talk back to me, crew. What do you think? What's your thoughts out here? I know some people are saying hi.
What did that Jazzy say? The comment before this one, she said what I just said. So she must have just said something. I say this with honesty. I genuinely have stopped caring about what happens to this administration in terms of this, because when kids get shot in schools or lawmakers are killed, I hear no outrage from the right, and you're right, and I'm starting to get mad at the left as well. So I don't know, I don't really know who cares. You know, I care, and sometimes you really want to give up, and you say I can't give up. A real plot, says Barbara, would be organized and planned with precision in order to succeed. This was a dramatical shock and awe farce that resulted in a lot of innocent people getting traumatized for absolutely nothing. Is what you're going to say? That was nothing. Was what you want to say, Barbara?
I hear you, Barbara. Katie, what's your take on it?
She said, yes, they don't give a crap about all those kids in schools. Instead of screaming about gun control, he's screaming about a freaking ballroom. I mean, I couldn't, what a disgrace and a joke. I don't know how he got to the ballroom. The ballroom wouldn't have been protected.
Can we just spread some real facts about the ballroom? The ballroom is only going to hold 999 people, maybe 1,000. You could probably squeeze another seat in there. When you have a correspondence dinner, you have 2,200 or maybe 300 people. So the ballroom they're talking about is not going to hold that many people. So this is really BS.
Well, see, what's really important is, and again, I'm not trying to keep changing the subject, is, are we educating our kids for real? Are we teaching them how to survive in this world? You know, a lot of kids graduate today, and I'm talking about they graduate from high school and they don't know how to read still. They have absolutely no skills. They don't know how to, they don't know nothing about farming or repairing cars, or they don't know nothing. They're not really teaching kids nothing in school. They're not teaching them how to grow their own food. They don't even care if we eat. I try not to be disappointed, but some days I get disappointed when I hear him talk about himself all the time.
Well, Jazzy says she thinks it was staged.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I hear you, Jazzy. Let's see what Lori is out there saying. And if anybody else want to weigh in, please feel free to weigh in. We want to hear from you. This is your spotlight, and we want to highlight you. Absolutely.
And you said, Laura, you meant to say that the PA rally, the Pennsylvania rally, was organized and 2 people lost their lives?
Okay.
You're right. Mm-hmm. It's so many people dying on the street, and like I said, and a lot of people don't know how they're gonna pay rent next month. I've said
And
it.
he talking about this ballroom. Come on, keep talking.
This ballroom is for when some crazy stuff go down. This will have a bunk. It has a bunker too. What he's building is somewhere to play on top and hide when he didn't cause some mess like he has in Iran. I still think in Iran, I think when we're not paying attention, like when he called the ceasefire for 2 weeks, and then Iran shot at us, I think they're gonna do another 9/11.
That's what you're thinking?
Going to that memorial, boy, you should go to that. If you haven't been to New York, it's something to go and look at the Twin Towers. You know, the Twin Towers, and then you go look at the Statue of Liberty when we said, give me your old, you're tired, and you're poor, or whatever, and you come in here for a new start to try to, cook some Mexican food or some Italian food, or, when I never heard of goulash before, now I like goulash, and we're not learning. I think
We're not.
this should be a melting pot of people bringing different things to the table that we can learn from, and how to make clothes, and how to take care of animals. I mean, a lot of stuff. I learned a lot of stuff. I don't know about you. I learned a lot of stuff listening to different people, not just
Absolutely.
one person.
Absolutely. That's the only way you can get out of your bubble and grow.
Mm-hmm.
That's
And
what it
travel.
is.
If you can travel opens up your mind to other people.
Absolutely. Well, let's hear what he was really thinking during that moment before the show. Let's go ahead.
What the fuck is this Israeli magician talking about? Will he shut the fuck up already? Any minute now. Come on, I need this ballroom. Where's the damn assassin? Finally. Works every.
Come on, Spider Kash. Now's your time to shine. Fuck, I can't do it. Not tonight. Not tonight.
Don't look at her. Do not look at her, Bobby. I'm finally free. This is it. Sweet freedom.
Butter chicken, tikka masala, biryani, naan, samosa, tandoori chicken, curry, dal vindaloo, palak paneer.
That's what they are. They're a bunch of jokes. It's like, that's why people don't trust what they're seeing now these days. Let's see what the team is saying out here.
I don't know if anybody saw the two Southwest planes that almost collided with one another last week. We haven't had really safe skies since this administration took over. These planes started going down, and I'm not saying that's every day, but I'm saying there's so much stuff that's being hid from us. Even when I was in high school, they didn't teach us basic life skills. Now kids can use their computer, AI for everything. Us millennials are the last generation who do know how to function. Yep, the shooter and the father are in the crowd. See, I don't even believe. Wait, why is Donald's ear? Why isn't a piece of his ear missing from when they shot at his ear? It was a lot of blood for no ear to be missing.
You talking about the first shooter?
Mm-hmm, the first shooter. I don't even know if that was the first one, because they've been trying to assassinate him like 6 times already.
Well, okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I said, why are they out? Where the sharpshooters at? Where the sharpshooters? All these people keep trying to shoot at this man, and all of them get caught. And when they do shoot him, nothing happens. I'm not. I mean, I want everybody to live, but I want everybody to live. You do? I love goulash. I'm from the Midwest, because that's where we had goulash. And they used to call, when you go to, what is it called? When you go to, and they have all kinds of dishes at the restaurant, they used to call them smorgasbords.
Buffet. Oh,
when
yeah,
when I was growing up, that's why I forgot, because they called them smorgasbords when I was growing up. And now, what do they call them?
Buffets.
Yeah, now they call them a buffet. And look how big we are. I'm a buffet now.
Oh gosh.
Or sometimes I have to laugh.
We have to, or else we'll be sitting up here crying.
Mm-hmm.
We would. This is ridiculous. So what else do you have on
go
here?
to a good Italian restaurant while we were in New York too. They served family style, and the lasagna was delicious. They actually, when all the noodles were homemade, and the homemade sauces and stuff, it was good. It was good to get and meet with our fellow We the People.
Yeah,
I want everybody to go too next time, but we had already planned this months ago, and before some people had joined, and some people, it was expensive anyway, really.
yeah, that was not a cheap trip.
Not New York.
Yeah.
Maybe next time. Okay, I'm sorry. Back on. See, I guess we talk about something else because we enough Americans are done. I don't care about protecting him no more. He don't care about protecting me.
Well, one thing I really want to like bring to everybody, because we need to understand that there is this plan that they were talking about. And I love how Ashley breaks it down.
There's a document in this country that most people outside of policy circles have never read. It's not classified, it's not hidden. It's an 8-page memo written by a corporate lawyer in Virginia in the summer of 1971. And that memo is the single most important document in modern American politics, because almost every political shift that you've lived through, Citizens United, the Federalist Society, the capture of the Supreme Court, the collapse of labor unions, corporate money in every election, was sketched out on 8 pages by one man. It's called the Powell Memo. And once you know it exists, prepare to be uncomfortable. His name was Lewis Powell. He was a 63-year-old corporate attorney from Richmond, Virginia. He sat on the board of Philip Morris, the tobacco company, and spent years arguing in public that cigarettes did not cause cancer. He represented American corporations. He was a fixture of the Virginia establishment. And on August 23, 1971, he wrote a confidential memo to his friend Eugene Snyder at the U.S. Chamber of Commerce. The memo was titled Attack on the Free American Enterprise System. It was marked confidential, which means it wasn't meant for the public. So fast forward 2 months. Richard Nixon nominated Lewis Powell to the United States Supreme Court. The memo wasn't disclosed during his confirmation hearings. The Senate never saw it. The American public never saw it. Powell was sworn in as a Supreme Court justice in January 1972, 6 months after writing a private plan for corporate America to take over the country. The memo opens with a warning, right? No thoughtful person can question that the American economic system is under attack. Powell argued that business was losing the universities, losing the media, losing the younger generation, losing the courts. And the only way to reverse it was a coordinated multi-decade plan funded by corporations to take back free institution that shaped American opinion. The language in the memo is the language of war. Let's call a spade a spade. He used the words frontal assault, warfare, rifle shots, guerrilla warfare. He underlined the word survival. He said that corporate America had to abandon compromise and appeasement. Now, this plan had 4 parts. 1, capture the universities, fund scholars, endow chairs, monitor textbooks, pressure faculty. 2, capture the media, surveil television content, produce counter programming, build new press favorable to corporate interests. Hello? Are you listening? 3, capture the courts. He wrote directly that the judiciary may be the most important instrument for change. Fund strategic litigation, build legal organizations, get corporate-friendly judges on the bench. 4, capture the political system, build lobbying arms, create political action committees, spend on elections at a scale that nobody's ever done before. Seriously, that was the plan. 8 pages of that bullshit, written in a matter of weeks. So here's what happened in the decade after the memo was written. 1972, the Business Roundtable was formed, a lobbying organization of Fortune 500 CEOs. 1973, the Heritage Foundation was formed with seed money from Joseph Coors. 1973, the American Legislative Exchange Council was formed. That's the organization that writes model legislation, which gets copy-pasted into state legislatures, stand your ground laws, voter ID laws, anti-protest laws, right-to-work laws, literally all of it, drafted by corporate lobbyists in a conference room, then handed to state legislatures to introduce. 1977, the Cato Institute, founded with Koch money. 1977, the Chamber of Commerce National Litigation Center, now the most successful corporate advocacy group in Supreme Court history. 1978, the Manhattan Institute. 1982, the Federalist Society. That's the organization that controls the conservative judicial pipeline. Are you picking up what I'm putting down?
Yes.
Every single one of those organizations was a direct descendant of the Powell Memo. In 1971, there were 175 corporations, right? By 1982, there were over 2,400, 2,400. But I said all that. Here's the part that should stop you in your tracks, though. In 1978, 6 years after he was sworn in, Lewis Powell wrote the majority opinion in a Supreme Court case called the First National Bank of Boston versus Bellotti. That case is the first one that established that corporations have First Amendment rights, the right to spend money influencing elections. Let that sit for a second, right? Just you can't make this shit up. The same man who wrote a private blueprint for corporate America to take over this country then went to the Supreme Court and wrote the ruling that legalized corporate political spending. He handed them the weapon he had designed in secret 7 years earlier. In 2010, the Supreme Court decided Citizens United v. FEC was going to be the ruling that opened the floodgates for unlimited corporate money in American elections. The Citizens United majority opinion cited Powell's 1978 ruling over and over again, which means the case that broke American democracy in 2010 was built on the same foundation poured by a man who designed the entire plan in a private memo in 1971. So I just want you to take a minute to think about everything you've ever seen break in your lifetime. Unions, public schools, local newspapers, state legislatures, the Supreme Court. Think about every time you've wondered why this country keeps moving in one direction, no matter who gets elected. Now understand this. The people who built the machine that did that to you handed each other a memo in 1971. They passed it around corporate boardrooms. They funded the think tanks. They endowed the chairs. They built the courts. They trained the judges. They wrote the laws for 54 years. While most of us were just trying to live, they were executing a plan. So no, it's not you. You were never behind in an argument. You were playing a game that somebody else had already finished designing. I got nothing. I got no more words.
All right. Did you catch what she was putting down?
Project 2025.
Exactly.
They said, bring immigrants in. They could help the country and, pick the fruit and do the shrimp boating or whatever they needed them for, clean your houses, feed your kids. And but too many of them came. They only wanted 5 of them. They didn't want 5 million of them. We didn't know we was going to be limited in whatever we did, and it would never be good enough.
Wake up.
They stole our money.
Wake up, America. You gotta wake up and understand what's really going on.
Every time Republicans are in office, this country decays. And I still like what Katie did when she showed that, the graphs of all of those people taking AIPAC money. And then you see that it's not just Republicans taking it, as Democrats, as independents, it's very few are not taking the money.
We so busy trying to be divide and conquer that you're not realizing they don't want you to be together. They don't want us to be together. And we have to be together in order to get ahead. Wake up. Wake up.
A lot of people are homeschooling their children. They homeschool so that they can make sure that they are being taught, because you can take your kids to the zoo too and teach them about animals. You can take them to these people who grow their own fruits and vegetables, and they can be taught how to do it. There's more than one way to learn.
Well, like they said, Dem Party is complicit. I think the whole government is complicit. Let's just call a spade, and we need new people until we can take back and make a change.
So it doesn't matter what political field they're with. We have to only pick people that are for the Constitution and are for equal rights for all people. Oh, I'm sorry, I've moved the table like I had shut up for the day.
No, because you just get to a point that you've had enough. You just had enough. It's like enough already.
And then, when I was growing up, one person could run the household because they made enough money to support the whole family so that the mother could, I'm not advocating that women do not work. I'm just saying, I think everybody, whether they're married or not, should be able to support their household and do it in a 40-hour work week, or 32 hours, because kids need us. They need us more the older they get, is what I've seen. When they're babies, you change their diaper, you give them a bottle, they're good. But the older they get, they have more questions and more people trying to infiltrate their mind and get on the internet and hope you come in. And sex trafficking is really big in America.
Yes, it is. And that's another thing they don't want to talk about, but that is form
When
of
the last time
slavery
we
as
talked about
well.
Epstein, they not even talking about Epstein no more right now.
It seems that way. It seems like Epstein is in the back thing, and we need to make sure we continue to push the Epstein agenda because people suffered. Let's see what our reporters are out there saying. Angry Army Vet, what's going on? What is Angry Army Vet saying, Andrea?
She said the zoo and the international market is a great teaching tool. I used for my daughter when she was young. That's good. She said she used it
That's
for her
good.
daughter.
That is good. Now that's positive. So if you're
Mhm.
not aware of it, Angry Army Vet is putting out there the zoo and the international market. So guys, take a look at that. Make sure you check it out. She finds that it's a great tool. Jazzy, what are you saying out there?
She said it reminds me of how when kids make friends with other kids of different
Go ahead.
skin tones, hair textures, accents, and it never clicks in their mind that being friends with them is bad until an adult corrupts them. That's right.
That is so true, Jazzy. That is
Those two little boys, remember that the commercial, the two little boys running up to each other. They didn't know that them was bad kid. They not bad. They're not, they was doing what was natural to them. And we
exactly. That's my friend Antonio. Or hey, Douglas. That's what it was. They were just running up to each other saying hello. Let's hear from this part of.
When you feel that people say that, like, hey, you guys co-signed and helped him. Now, when you see, what do you think about this presidency? How do you think he's doing?
I've been off social media for a while, but nothing seems good. I know the promises were Epstein list would be released. No more new wars. Right. He said on our podcast, and this is why I wanted to talk to him, is like, if you lie, at least I asked the question and I know you lied to our face. And maybe that's not worth anything, but to me, it was worth asking and seeing if you'd lie. He said, we're going to start with the deporting illegals first. We're not going to deport legal immigrants or whatever. And it's just like, no, you're sending away a lot of legal immigrants. And at every turn, I felt like we've been lied to. So I don't know how you can defend it. Even the most staunch Trump guy, which I was not, I didn't vote in the election. I don't know how even the most staunch Trump guy can be like, it's all good. We've been lied to about everything.
But see, that's the problem. He didn't vote in the election. Those are the individuals. That's that 1/3 that did not vote. So you can't complain because you said you'll just go with the status quo. And this is what we got. We got the status quo. Let's see what our reporters are saying. Who's up? Angry Army?
Angry Army, I was too. I was raised to see color. I was just raised to see good. And my mother always said, more people of color have helped her, not Black people, but other colors have helped her more than her own color. And I just think we should just erase color. It shouldn't have the type of hair I wear. Sometimes I wear my hair like this because I say, what difference should it make? So my hair is straight. For years, I had to go to work and just wear my hair straight because that was the only way the corporate media would let you in. And then we took them to court. And then you could start wearing braids and every other hairstyle. Me either. I have Hawaiian friends, Filipino, white, Spanish, Japanese, and I do too. I love them all. And
I love them all. Right.
Somebody told me one day, they said, Andrea, have you ever had a white person over your house? I said, you sound stupid.
Exactly. That is stupid. You should have asked them, have you?
Mhm.
Because people be always trying to test you to see what's your answer.
That person that asked me was Nicaraguan, and they voted for Trump. And ever since then, our friendship has really went downstream. Not because I didn't try to still understand what he was doing or what him and his wife were doing. They didn't like how I felt.
Wow. Wow. That's deep.
Mm-hmm.
That is really deep. What's that, Jazzy? Right. What type of question is that? Yeah. You know, when people ask those questions, it's not what we think it is. They have their reasons. They're fishing.
Mm-hmm.
That's all it is. They're really just trying to fish. I know this week, we wanted to show you what's going on, you know, while they were trying. Hi, Lindy. While we was trying to get everyone back home safe from New York, this happened. So, are you guys aware of the weather that's been going on out there? Check out these clips.
Holy
Oh, look at that. Look at that. Oh, would you look at that?
So, weather has definitely been bad lately. What's your take on it? How was your travels back home?
You know, in this country, it's more important to worry about the money and hate that we don't worry about global warming. We're not worried about the water that we drink. You know, since I was born, the plumbing, the pipes in this whole country really have never been changed. Unless you are rich and you built it in yourself. Most of this country has old plumbing. And then if you go to certain cities, the water, you can't even drink it. You can't even drink it. You can't drink the water. We're not worried about what all of this is doing to our country. All we're worried about is if we can traffic women, if we can make them work hard and burn down their house.
Which makes no sense, right? Which really makes no sense. It's like there's more important things that's going on. I know you have one of your funnies. You want to bring it to the stage, my love?
And I want to say too, we're here in Dallas area. That's where I'm at right now. They've had tornado warnings for the past 4 hours today, and a lot of our fellow co-hosts, when they were traveling back to their homes, they had to reroute their traffic due to weather. So, I mean, the weather does play a very important role in our lives. And so you have to pay attention to the weather, you know, or in the right shoes to wear. I didn't have an umbrella. I got wet and I felt a little sick, but you know, I still kept going. I had fun. No, I did have fun though. I had some friends that brought 5 people with them too.
And it was one person, huh? But have 5 friends. I love it. Are you picking up what Miss Andrea is putting down?
Oh,
crazy.
Jazzy said, I was about to board a flight in Florida. There was a storm and lightning hit between the cracks of where you board. Oh my goodness, and hit the plane. I said, nope, I'm not getting on this mess. Don't let this be my final destination. I know.
I know what you mean, Jazz.
I couldn't even finish saying it because it's so true.
That is so true. That is so true. Well, Andrea, I'm gonna put up one of your funnies. How about
Okay,
that?
okay.
Let's put it up.
This was funny, especially when you have sons.
Okay, I'm gonna play it twice because you got to pick up what's going on.
This motherfucker room clean, bro. What is you doing? Motherfucker room clean, bro. What is you doing?
Did y'all hear him? He said the boy said I could really move out. His father said, "What?"
Miss Jazzy picked up on it. Absolutely. Yes, Jazzy. Okay. You got to
sure
be careful
can.
what you say because, hey, we can make it happen, Captain.
We can make it happen. Is that what you want?
Make it happen. Is this what you want? Well, look, I could show you much better. I could tell you. Let's get to that.
Okay.
Let's get to
We need
that.
to listen to our parents. Listen to your parents. They've been here. They trying to teach you to be clean. It was funny. This wheelchair pusher I had yesterday, he was like, he said when he graduated from high school, the first 10 years after he graduated, he said he wasn't very clean. And he said, and now I've accepted Christ and I have to clean my body. I have to be clean. I can't be dirty like that. I'm like, for 10 years, you walked around dirty.
That kind of puts you in like, what? What are you talking about?
Yeah, and I did tip him though, because he was he had a disability with the ones that I forget, their face is kind of turned funny and I forgot what they call it though, but he did have a disability and I gave him a tip and he thanked me so much. He said this is gonna help with my groceries. And but I was happy he was there and I listened to his story and he did because sometimes it says confession is good for the soul and he confessed that he had a terrible life and he did something about it.
So let's go over to what Miss Katie is saying. These kids, what, Katie?
They think they can do whatever they want. And
yeah, they really do. But we can
I've listened to people on this show say, I'm not gonna have a house, I'm not gonna have this, I'm not gonna have that. Not if you sitting there and all you do is complaining about you're not gonna have it. You got to get up and do something. If you want something, you got to go after it. You can't just sit there, it's not gonna come up to your door.
I love what Angry Army Vet saying, bye, little boy, bye. You got to go, okay? But I'm not gonna do it. I could leave.
He was gonna come right back. He ain't had nowhere to go. Talking about he don't want to clean up his room.
But sometimes you just gotta show them. You may be glad you got a room and not a tent and a board, right? Okay. All right. So what else is going on? We coming to the bottom of the hour.
I have a brother that took 50 years to realize he didn't like prison.
What? What? Wait a minute. Back that up.
He did. Every time he got out, he would get in trouble again. It took 50 years for him to finally say, I'm tired of going to jail. I see. Man, and he died 6 years later. I said, see?
You wasted all that time.
All that time you wasted.
See? This is what I'm talking about. Don't negotiate with children. You don't. There's no negotiation. It's either you get on this board, Chip, or you can walk the plank.
And the other thing is be willing to listen.
Yes.
Listen. My kids used to tell me, I said, no, you can't do that. But then they said, Mommy, if I tell you a story, and I said, if the story good enough for me to change my mind, I will. And I did. Sometimes it was good enough for me to say, okay, go ahead. But you got to be willing to listen to hear it.
But it depends on how they bring the story. But you are absolutely correct. We do need to
as long as they talk with dignity and respect. That's what I do. As long as you talk to me with dignity and respect, I'm gonna listen, and I still do that to this day.
Yeah, that makes sense. I have one more that I would like to bring to the stage. I was going to talk about the airlines, but I'm gonna save that for another time. I wanted to finish up with this guy tonight because it was so much he was putting down that we just kind of felt like it was way too much for you. So let's try to get him to finish because America has had enough. Enough of the lies, enough of the BS. It's just enough.
like him.
Cut the crap. Here we go.
They don't care about the school where 170 kids got blown
Go ahead. Come on.
up in Iran. They don't care about women dying of sepsis. They don't care about school shootings. They don't care about people in concentration camps. They only give a damn about themselves and about maintaining the white male
See, they don't want us
patriarchy.
to hear.
I wish there was some magic 8-ball I can shake and show you. It's about whiteness. That's what white Christian nationalism is. They want the Erica Kirks. They want her to make eat bonbons, be barefoot, and make them babies. You want alpha males. Yeah, manly. They want people like Dana White, who hits his wife. He's manly. They want people like Joe Rogan, who's a dumbass and drinks from the toilet because he's manly. And all these right-leaning bros because they're manly. It's toxic masculinity. Why do you think that MAGA men are so triggered by women that have piercings or blue hair or tattoos or are feminists? Because they don't buy into the bullshit of the male patriarchy. That's what MAGA men were attracted to with the racist podcaster. He wanted a straight white male America. That's exactly why they worship the racist podcaster. That's why they put him on Air Force 2 and had a Nazi-style rally and wanted to make a day after him and bridges after him because he wanted whiteness. He spoke about the white replacement theory. If a pilot's black, is he qualified? I don't know. How about Justice Jackson? Ooh, she must be an affirmative action hire. This dude is literally a high school dropout. But he stood for whiteness. Not Jesus, not God, whiteness. Look at how this country was founded, okay? Slavery, Jim Crow, segregation, lynchings, tearing fetuses out, using black babies as alligator bait, separating black families, murdering Native Americans, kicking them off their land, murdering them on Wounded Knee, imprisoning Asian.
Let me just stop it right there real quick. Did you hear what he just said? Using black babies as alligator meat.
Mm-hmm.
What lifestyle are we talking about? These are the things that people are not hearing. Let me let him finish.
Asians for 3 years in internment camps in the 40s. The 3/5 clause. Literally, this country was founded to only benefit the white man. And even in 1860, black people weren't considered citizens. The Supreme Court said, even after 100 years, even though black people were born here, you're not citizens because you're not white. Not even until the 1960s, almost 200 years after this country was founded, were black people even allowed to fucking vote. Does that sound like a great country? No. But the problem is that white people don't want to have that conversation because it interferes with their white greatness. This country is built and has sustained and operated on a foundation that the white man can do no wrong, and that's why we're here. It is. This country was triggered by a black man in the White House instead of out in the fields picking their cotton. And I know for people to watch my videos, I've said this before, it's true that traditional family white values was going away and it scared the hell out of them. They want the outside of the White House to look like the inside of the White House. And they went back to what they know, the plantation owner, the grand wizard white supremacist. That's a fact. And if you can't admit that, then I don't know what to tell you. But until we come to grips with that, nothing's going to change. Go listen to Eddie Glaude, professor, I think it was from Harvard or Princeton, forgive me. I'm going to have him on my podcast. Go listen to his clips. And Nicole, he's right. We as a white culture are refusing to have the conversation that I'm having because you don't want to be comfortable. But people that don't look like me, they don't have that luxury of putting their hands up their asses and say, I don't do politics. Because right now, black police officers that are off duty in Minneapolis are being pulled over by ICE because they're not white enough. That's a fact. We have U.S. citizens being imprisoned and deported right now because they can't prove their citizenship, even though they're citizens. But it doesn't affect you, so you don't want to be political. Until white people are willing to be uncomfortable, until you're willing to lose friends and family, then nothing's going to change. And I'll leave you with this question. Why do you want to be friends with somebody that is okay with the president raping women?
That's right.
Because that's not a difference of opinion. It's a difference in fucking values.
That's right.
Why do you want to be friends with them?
Right. That's how I feel.
These officers, they're dead. Dead. Because of the white man that's in the White House right now. And 77 million people overlooked dead officers because they didn't want to vote for the fucking black woman. You can be on the right side of history like I am, or you can be on the white side of history and sit in your silence until the country disintegrates. But it's going to be white people's silence and unwillingness to be uncomfortable because you don't want to piss up Uncle Bob. That's going to lead to the downfall of this country.
Thank you, guys. I hope you're hearing him. I hope you understand. We all got to get uncomfortable and do the right thing. Jazzy, what you saying to us, babe?
And they disrespect the white women on top of it. You know, it's just all about the white male. Am I crazy, or does it seem like MAGA men seems a bit submissive? They go hard to defend Trump no matter what he does or who he hurts. What masculine man just agrees with everything else a man says? Look at Hexef getting rid of all of the generals and the admirals and stuff. On so many levels, anyone who stands behind this regime is complicit. They are complicit.
They are complicit. They are. They are. So many people are realizing that this is crazy. One person said, wow.
Marley.
Hey,
And
Marley Marl.
Those cages, building all them now these cities are saying, I don't want these big cages in my city. Yeah, you did. You voted for that. Yes, you did. You voted for that. I don't want these immigrants. Now you got 10,000 of them. Right? He said he's gonna get rid of them, but he got them all in the city with you in this big cage.
We have the power to stop this. Wake up, people. Wake up.
I don't know if anybody was paying attention when the Correspondents' Dinner was happening and Donald Trump and Melania came out. They act as if they didn't want to be there that night. I don't know if nobody noticed. I noticed that they act like they didn't really want to be there. You played that one clip. Let's come on. I don't want to hear your jokes anyway, but they didn't want to be there.
They didn't want to be there. Absolutely not. Did not want to be there.
And you're going to tell me that shooting wasn't set up? Yes, it was.
Something just doesn't seem right. And the kid, if he was really trying to take people out, he could have took out all those people in the hallway. Not one shot came from his gun. Not one bullet was released from that gun. Not one.
Hey, see,
and the shot that came from one of the officers' gun was friendly fire. Wake up, people. Something's not right.
We're going to be truthful. We're going to tell it like we see it. We're not going to just go with what we hear on every other network.
No, we just want you guys to do your homework. Check out, check in, and do your checkups. Absolutely.
So we appreciate each and every one of you that came and listened and get involved and give us information to think about. We think about what you say also.
Also, is America, we've had enough. Enough is enough. Let's see what Barbara is saying. Barbara, talk back to us. What is Barbara saying?
She said, I say, just because you got a manifesto does not mean it wasn't staged. That's right.
Thank you. Thank you. And Jazzy?
Right? How did that guy just zoom down that hallway like he did? Like he just huffed was PC okay? Where was security? Where was the metal detectors? How is security this bad still? And that's what the one guy was trying to point out on Don's show, and it seemed like he was trying to cut him off. That man said it wasn't no security. You could have got anywhere. He could have shot everybody if he wanted to.
Exactly. If he really was intending to do that, he could have did damage, but not one bullet. And he didn't stop because of Secret Service or security. That's not what happened. They just tackled him to the ground. The shot that went off was from another officer. Friendly fire. Come on, people, do your homework. Something is not right.
And they say he gonna spend life in jail. That man probably on an island with all kinds of fruit and
He has
vegetables.
to stick around right now because it's a hot topic. They got to wait.
Porters mentioned horrible security. He did. He said it. Yeah, he said it was horrible. I agree too.
All right. But just like how we opened up today, we definitely want to take you back out. Let's dance our way through it. All right. Hey, hey. Hey.
Goodbye, New York. I don't know when we want to be in.
We want to let you know life is all about how you live it. And we're just gonna take what mama gave you. Hey, 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 hey.
Be happy. Growing up, mama.
Hey, 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 hey. Come on, Andrea. Let's move. Hey, 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 hey. Thank you, everyone. And we'll see you soon. That's the double A.
We the people unite.
We love you. We the people unite. Hey, 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 hey. Good night. Hey, hey. Hold up.
We the people unite.